Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today is Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, and the board meeting was called to order at 4:30 today with the board going directly into executive session under the following ORS 192.6602D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. It is now 6:04 p.m. and we are reconvening our meeting with the public session, which is a business session. This evening, we have Director Satya Chandagiri, Director Hudson, Director Richardson, and myself present. Second Vice Chair Ashley Carson Cunningham may possibly join us, and Director Hinojos Presi is unable to join us this evening. We will go forward, and I'll read the land acknowledgement this evening for us. We are gathered today on the land of the Kalapuya, who are represented by the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians. The relationship between the Kalapuya people and this land continues unbroken to this day, and we offer gratitude for the land and for the generations present and past who have stewarded the land since time immemorial. We respectfully acknowledge and honor past, present, and future Native American and Indigenous students and staff of Salem-Keizer Public Schools. We invite you to join us in honoring these ancestral grounds and celebrating the resilience and strength of all Native American and Indigenous people. We may now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Superintendent Castañeda, do we have any agenda modifications before we move forward?
No, we do not.
All right. We'll go ahead and start with our favorite part. I think it's fair to say that at this point, the business session, which is the spotlight on success, and I'll hand that back over to you, Superintendent.
Thank you. This is, of course, one of our favorite parts of every agenda. And so I am actually going to pass it on to Donna Lopez Sanchez from Miller Elementary School, who will kick us off with our spotlight. Oh, you'll actually join us right here at this table.
And we'll find out if we have a hot mic or if you have to press the button. Hot? Okay.
Good evening, Chair Guzman Ortiz, Board Directors, Student Advisors, and Superintendent
Can you
Castañeda.
maybe move it closer to you? I think it's on.
Yes, is this better?
That's
Oh,
better.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
As a Community School Outreach Coordinator, I want to share the wonderful support we received from Marion County Fire District Number 1 during the winter holidays. They've been helping our communities for over 40 years now. During the holiday season, Marion County Fire District Number 1 goes out of their way to make sure families who are struggling can still enjoy the warmth and happiness of the holidays. They work closely with schools like ours to give toys and food to families who need them. Marion County Fire District leads the way by gathering donations, putting together food boxes, and planning delivery routes to reach families in our district who could use a little extra help. Their commitment to assisting others significantly impacts our community each year. Just last year, the program support reached 9 schools and benefited 156 families. Thank you, Marion County Fire District Number 1, for always being there for us and for spreading holiday cheers to those who need it most.
Each board meeting, we get just a little bit better at this. So I think what we'll do is have pictures at the end. We'll do all 3 spotlights and then meet over there for pictures. We'll see if that is an improvement on our practice. Our next spotlight, I believe, is actually going to be provided by Larry Ramirez, and we welcome you to tell us about your spotlight.
Thank you. Get this close enough here. Good evening, Chair Guzman Ortiz, Board Directors, Student Advisors, and Superintendent Castañeda. Tonight, I would like to recognize Rhonda Rhodes, who is valued and noticed for her dedication to our students, but is honored for these same qualities in our community. Rhonda has recently been honored with the Captain Award from the Groundwork Leadership Institute for going above and beyond to demonstrate her commitment to Salem through cultivation, innovation, and transformation. From her early days as a math teacher to her current role as CTEC principal, she has tirelessly pursued her mission to change the system and uplift the lives of young people. Her involvement with Groundwork served as a catalyst to her visionary endeavors assigned to tackle real-world challenges like mental health. Rhonda embraced the opportunity, leveraging her expertise to pioneer groundbreaking initiatives. Along with her Groundworks group, she spearheaded the launch of CTEC Behavioral Health and Human Services program, providing students with invaluable skills and filling a crucial gap in the workforce. Rhonda remains humble and focused on the road ahead. She understands that true leadership is not about perfection, but about the willingness to adapt, evolve, and embrace imperfection. As she continues to pave the way for the next generation, Rhonda's message is clear. You have to get on the road. With her unwavering determination and spirit, she's not only changing the system, she is shaping the future. Rhonda, congratulations on the well-deserved recognition. CTEC is lucky to have a fearless leader like you.
In part because I can see Rhonda's discomfort sitting in the front, I will briefly add to say, anyone who has the spectacular opportunity to spend time with Rhonda in her school will discover that she is the most energetic, hopeful, enthusiastic person you could possibly encounter in a school setting. Everything feels possible when you're around Rhonda. So it is just a spectacular gift, that sense of possibility that you give to CTEC and your students, and therefore to all of us. So thank you for that. Okay, and our final spotlight will be delivered by Shay Finch. And Shay is with our Native Education program and will be offering the student spotlight.
All right. Hi, my name is Shay Finch, Cultural Resource Facilitator with the Native Education Program. I'm honored to bring this recognition today for Makai Aaron DeBerry. He's a standout student whose dedication and leadership shine both in academics and community involvement. As a member of the Quechan tribe, Makai values his cultural heritage and excels in all areas of study. He's known for his commitment to the Sa'amak Summer Program, also known as the Native Education Summer School Program, where he initially participated as a student and later became a valued student worker. Makai's passion for advanced technology fields, such as computer science and aerospace, drives his academic pursuits, evident in his involvement with CTEC's aviation program. Makai's leadership extends beyond academics. He's an ambassador for CTEC and the aviation program, earning recognition for his mentorship and professionalism. He's respected amongst his peers and the wider community, evident in his role as MC for Salem-Keizer NAACP Freedom Fund Banquet in 2023. Makai's influence reaches younger students, inspiring them as a role model and leader within the Sa'amak school environment. In addition to his academic and leadership achievements, Makai is an accomplished athlete, excelling in track and field at West Salem High School. He's applied to Oregon State University, aiming to join their track and field program, while also showcasing his musical talent in the jazz band and wind ensembles. Beyond his achievements, Makai's supportive nature and strong family ties reflect his character at home. With a close relationship with his sister, Makai embodies the values of responsibility, accountability, support in both his personal and academic endeavors. Makai's contributions to his school and community and family exemplify his commitment to excellence and serve as an inspiration to all of those around him. Thank you, Makai, for all of your contributions as a student, and we look forward to seeing your achievements in the future.
If we could ask everyone who is a spotlight nominee and an honoree to meet us over there, we'll do a quick round of photos. No.
Superintendent report is yours. Well, thank you. Always just a joy to celebrate community members and students and get to hear a little bit about what's happening in our schools. So back to you, Superintendent, for the next portion, which is the report this evening.
Thank you. Well, we're going to do a small amount of additional celebration because we are in a period where our schools are really crushing it in so many ways. And although these are not all the schools that deserve recognition, tonight we do want to acknowledge West Salem-Keizer for their big state championship win. We also have McKay's girls wrestling, which really cleaned house. They had 10 placers and 5 state qualifiers. So I will also say I recently saw my first girls wrestling match, and they are fierce. I was so impressed by the entire experience. We have West Salem Robotics Club won the Oregon Tech Robotics Tournament. And finally, we had a very special celebration of someone who is so special to many people in this district. Our Deputy Superintendent, Olga Cobb, was recognized 2 weekends ago as the Latina Educator of the Year. And although I am only about 7 months into the privilege of knowing and experiencing the incredible gift of Olga in the world, I am grateful for every one of those, every day of those 7 months. High expectations, joy, humor, love, total commitment to our students. And I know she's hoping that at some point the celebrations will end, but they're not quite there yet. So, Olga, it was just a really wonderful experience to share with you. Okay, continuing on in the spirit of celebration, although it is on the consent agenda tonight, I do want to just acknowledge Black History Month. And there is a small piece of the item that I'm going to pull up and just share one quick thought about. The proclamation concludes by saying, "We will strive to garner a deeper understanding of the richness of Black and African American culture and its influence on the arts, globally, nationally, and in our state, as we embrace liberty and justice for all." And the small part I wish to raise up as we experience all of Black History Month is a recognition of the incredible joy of Black History Month. And it is sometimes easy to notice and linger in the parts of our collective history that have pain, either inflicted or experienced. But Black and African American impact in terms of art and joy and richness and beauty is so worthy of our sustained celebration throughout the year, and certainly for our sustained celebration for Black History Month. So I look forward to the proclamation and also just wish to participate in the joy of the month in every opportunity that I have. I would like to provide an update on some honors programming and some changes in honors programming in our district, high school honors programming. Honors programming is such an important part of what we offer, one part of what we offer high school students in Salem-Keizer. And right now we are eager to look forward to the next year where we offer a differentiated and expanded path for honors. We right now have an embedded honors program, which in some sites is so spectacularly successful and growing every year. And I really want to recognize McKay High School for the work that they've done with embedded honors. It's the numbers of students participating and succeeding are increasing, and it's exactly what we would want to see in honors programming in our district. We also want to create an opportunity for schools to make a choice if they would like to pursue a pre-AP track. And this is a complement to embedded honors. Some schools may choose to do a pre-AP track, some may choose to stick with embedded honors. Either way, the point is the same: to increase the number and types of students who have great opportunities early in high school to access rigorous honors coursework and see their success. See that they are honors material. See that they have more options in honors programming. And see that there's a path forward that might be AP, it might be IB, might be any number of things, but it's about academic excellence and making sure that every student has a chance to see that in themselves. So we are eager and hopeful that the pre-AP track will be a strong complement and a good option for schools that choose it. Okay, my next section will take just a little bit longer, but it is an important one. And when we were last together at the board meeting, we committed to providing an update on the budget every time there was a major change. And we are now at a juncture where there is a change and therefore the necessity of an update. And one of the things that I will do quickly is talk about some of the things we've done, just kind of as a quick reminder, and then we'll take a look at where we are with our budget now. So starting in the summer, we started talking about the budget, about the gaps we're going to face, and about the actions we're going to have to take. As a district, our first job was to take early and really intentional action to try to close the budget gap. And I'm so grateful and proud of the work our district has done to try to manage that. And through a combination of $31 million in reductions and adjustments we've already done, plus managing our expenses every place we can, plus getting even better at forecasting. We've already reduced a gap that we knew was coming by $50 million. That is a large portion of the gap that we had to close, but it is not everything. The update we're going to provide you today is about the new shape of our budget with a new set of financial offers that we made to our two associations. And before we go to that slide and talk about that, I want to be clear about one thing that is increasingly important to say aloud and without equivocation. Our offers did not produce the budget gap we face. Our staff receiving increases, they are deserved increases. They need them, they should have them. Those increases did not produce the gap we face. The gap we face is because we have a broken funding formula that is not addressing the needs of schools in Oregon, the needs of schools in Salem-Keizer, and specifically the needs of the students our system serves. That is what's producing the problem. It is not the offers that we are going to discuss a little bit tonight, and it is not the fact that our staff deserve these increases. So let's take a look at the changes. At the end of January, we announced a combined $81.7 million in proposed compensation changes for a combination of our classified and licensed staff. And it's broken up into a few chunks that could be discussed at another time. But for tonight, what we want to share is that with the announcement of these, we now have information we need to be able to do something we have long awaited, which is provide greater clarity about the budget gap we must close. This was the missing piece of information for many months, and now we have it. So let's take a look at where we are. This is a graph that we are increasingly familiar with, and I do look forward to the day that we sunset this graph and describe it as a part of our past, but not a part of our future. What you can see here is that we've continued to work hard, but we still have a sizable gap. The most important part of this graph for us to understand together is the orange and blue line at the very end, the 24-25 year. And if you look at the very end, imagine that end point, it's not the beginning of next year, it's the end of next year. That's a point that forecasts where we will be on June 30th. And you can see there that there is a $60 million gap in total between expenses and revenue. We don't need to close that entire gap with reductions in our system, but we do need to close a little over $30 million of that gap with reductions to our system. And so for months when we've been saying we won't know, we don't know yet, tonight we can tell you we do know. It's a little over 30 million in a system that spends 90% of its general fund on staff. So this will be a difficult period we're entering. And what we want to make sure to do tonight is talk in a little more detail about how we will do it. Can you advance to the next slide? This is the path we'll take to make and complete reduction decisions. And I would actually, instead of reading it from 1 to 8, I'm going to read it in reverse because we want to emphasize the goal at the end. If we start at number 8, which I believe says, there we go, thank you, June staffing 24-25 is complete. I hope and believe we all share the view that when our students leave for the summer and when our staff leave for the summer, we want them to know what the next school year is going to look like. Our staff need to know what school they're going to be teaching at. They need to know what their teaching assignment is. They want a chance to meet their colleagues. Our building leaders need to know who's going to be on their team. For staff who are impacted by layoff, they need to know that with certainty. If there are changes in our programs Our students and our community need to know that. And we need to know that before the start of the summer. If these changes are not done and complete by then the uncertainty bleeds through the summer and next school year starts in a manner that is hard to create conditions for success. It's our job to make sure that doesn't happen. It's our job to make sure that certainty is present for everyone who needs and deserves it before the school doors close this year for the summer. So, in order for that to be true, let's travel to number 7. We'll work our way backwards. In May, we need to be well into the process of discussing a recommended budget that is balanced. For that to be true, we need to have already determined what our reductions are going to be and started the process of implementing those reductions. So the April-May period will be the period when we need to be focusing on the reductions, and in particular, the reductions in our workforce. Closing a gap of a little more than $30 million will mean, inescapably now, it will mean that we will have hundreds fewer people in our buildings serving the same number of students. We will make reductions in other places too. We will make additional district reductions, but it will still be true that there will be hundreds fewer serving the same number of students next year. And this is a complex process in a district like ours. The way that that happens is complex and large scale. So we need that entire April-May period to do this well, to do it accurately, to do it in a way that's humane and honest and clear. We do not want to rush that. In order for that to be true, in April, we will need a board resolution that authorizes us to begin that reduction in force. And in order for that to be true, we need a plan in March. And so you can see just with this travel backwards, how urgent this work is, how it is upon us, how we need to have more input from the community, but we also need to begin the work of clear and hard decision-making that will allow us to open schools well next year. I do want to briefly tell you a story about fourth grade classrooms that I was in at Hoover, and the students were working on a plot, and they were working on rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. And so I was talking with the students and I said, what does resolution mean? And they said, well, resolution means the end. And I said, well, what does the end mean? And they said, resolution is when everything is okay in the end. A balanced budget is not our resolution. Formula reform is our resolution. If the fourth graders at Hoover taught us anything, it's the end is not fewer staff. The end is more money for Salem-Keizer Public Schools. That this is the part we have to get through now. Okay, I think that that is the conclusion of my superintendent's report.
Hoover fourth graders to hone that in, yes. Thank you, Superintendent. No questions and just information to digest for all of us, I think. And thanks for raising that timeline, which we've been discussing for months now in terms of what is necessary for this difficult year. So it's not an easy place to be, but I think just centering the important lives of everyone at hand. So we'll hand it over to Deputy Superintendent Ethan Udosinata. Did I do okay?
Can everyone hear me now? Oh, I gotta hold
There
it.
you go.
Hold on. Can everyone hear me now? Perfect, thank you. Good evening, Chair Guzman Ortiz, directors of the board, student advisors, Superintendent Castaneda. I'm going to speak with you all this evening about graduation. I do that every time. I think I always say morning. I'm going to speak with you about the annual graduation report. So the state released our grad info and outcomes for the entire state and our district in January. And so today what I'd like to do is walk you through our outcomes, walk you through some trends and some strategies that we're using to improve outcomes for all students. Our grad report is, our grad initiatives are actually part of our goals that are our longitudinal performance growth targets, our LPGTs. And as you can see the second row down, the four-year cohort graduation rates are an area that we're really focusing on. And if you go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about what our LPGTs are for the year. So this was submitted to the state earlier in the year, and our projection was that we're gonna have about 79.8% graduation rate. That was our baseline from where we were last year, and we're slightly below that by 0.7%. So we're gonna have to make an adjustment and make up for that next year. We're still trying to hit that target of 81.3%. And what we'd like to do is by the year 27-28, get up to an 86% graduation rate. Next slide, please. So what does it take to earn a diploma in the state of Oregon? So you can see a couple of comparisons right here. Students in general need to earn about 6 credits, or pass 6 classes a term and earn 6 credits a year to earn 24 credits. They also need to pass their core classes along with a few other classes to meet their graduation requirements. In the past, back in 2007, students only needed 22 credits. So now they need 24, and the reason for that adjustment is because the state has an initiative to ensure that students are college ready, and part of that is making sure that students have that opportunity to take 3 math classes that include at least 2 years of algebra or higher. And then we also want to make sure that students are thriving in language arts, so there's a 3 credit requirement in language arts as well. Can we go to the next slide? So here's our grad overview for the year. We had 5 of our 6 comprehensive high schools that met or exceeded the state average of 81.3%. Our 4-year graduation rate was 79%. We'll show a comparison slide on the next slide. Our 5-year graduation rate was 82.3%. And we're really proud that we were able to steadily grow our graduation rate since 2016. So it shows steady growth, even though every now and then you'll have a slight dip. And we're able to reduce our dropout significantly this year. Next slide, please. So you can see the comparison from 22 to 23. In 2022, we had 79.83% graduation rate. This year we had 79.14. So what does that mean? Well, we have about 3,500 seniors. So of those 3,500, if 22 more would have graduated, we would have had a same graduation rate as last year. But that didn't happen, and so we need to use our strategies to try to improve that for next year. We have 7 high schools, 6 comprehensive high schools. Most graduating classes are around somewhere between 400 and 500. So it's roughly about a decrease of 3 kids per school, if you will. Our state graduation rate was the same as last year, as 81.3. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that we closed the gap a little bit when it comes to our SKPS's graduation rate, our 5-year cohort versus our state cohort. So just so you know, the 4-year cohort is those who start with us and graduate in 4 years. So the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. The 5-year cohort are those who stay on. Last year, we had about 130 or so students stay on, and that shows the commitment that our students have and the resilience that our students have to stay on and complete their education, even though they didn't finish after those 4 years. But it also shows our commitment to students that just because you don't graduate after 4 years, we're going to stick with you until you can really, until you can earn that diploma. Next slide, please. So here are some themes that I want to show you. I'm going to show you some longitudinal graphs that show our progress over the last few years, and I'm going to focus on some of our focal groups that the state is really focusing on as well. So I'll show our aggregate, then we'll focus on our a few different focal groups that we'll get into. And some themes that emerged is growth, how much growth we had since 2014 to 2023. And then also something that you'll notice is something we call cohort variance. Cohort variance is when you might see one cohort really do well, and then another cohort kind of shifts and doesn't achieve the same as the year before. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the promise in our programs and some fluctuation that you see throughout the years. So next slide, please. So this is where we were longitudinally for our entire district. You see in 2014, we were in the low 70s with our graduation rates, and then we steadily climbed, and we peaked right around 2019, 20, and 21. Something important to know about those 2 years is that's when COVID occurred, and the state had something called a hold harmless clause. As a result, in 2020, every single senior who perhaps was behind, they passed all their classes, which was really good for them. And it was the relief that we needed, which bumped our numbers up a little bit. And then we also had mechanisms in place for credit recovery that helped that number stay high. And then we just dipped a little bit. And when you see a dip, we call that in the data world a regression to the mean. Next slide, please. So this is our difference so this is the differences from in the 4-year cohort, and the change represents the change for the 4-year cohort. So you can see there's a pretty dramatic change for our Black and African American population. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's a point of celebration. And then there's a little dip with our Indian Native American population, American Indian Native American population. And that was one of the groups that really jumped up last year. And so that's an example of that fluctuation that you see in the cohort variance. Other demographics were maybe up one or down a couple. So we'll get into that in a second. Next slide, please. So we're starting with one of our largest focal groups, our Hispanic and Latino population. And you'll see that we've made significant progress in the last 9 years. We were right around 65%, and there's been a steady increase with a little dip, a 1% dip this year. Next slide. Our white population is kind of went up again. It followed the trend of the aggregate group where it went up and then dropped just a little bit this year as well by 1% or 2%. Next slide. Now, here's where our focal groups get a little bit smaller. And when you have a smaller focal group, you might see more dramatic change. So for our Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander, you've seen an increase, and it peaked in 2019. And this group was significantly impacted during the pandemic. So you see a drop with the recovery period right there. When you see these dramatic ups and downs, one thing I encourage the group to look at is the gradual progress that we're making over the course of time. Next group, please. It's our Black and African American graduation rates. So you see up, down, and up. Again, that N size is small. And something that we notice that happens with this group is there can be a shift with a family moving in and a family moving out, and that might impact our rates, or with a change in services we were able to provide through our Office of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement, and that will also make impact the amount of supports we can provide for families as well. So what we try to do is be very strategic in being able to provide services. use supports for tracking students and making sure kids can get across the finish line. And let's go to our next slide, which is our American Indian, Alaska Native. And right here you see a lot of up and down as well. But in general, what we're trying to do is make sure that we're showing progress from 2014 to 2023. And again, we have a smaller N size right here. So our N size is only 23, which again, you'll see a fluctuation and some dramatic shifts. So what are our strategies to support all of our students? Here's things that we really focus on. We focus a lot on attendance initiatives. When students are able to when students are coming to school, my policy when I was a principal is if a student set foot in my school as a senior in high school, we were going to find a way to get them to graduate. And if a student ever came to our school as a freshman and they made it all the way to their senior year, we were going to have a commitment for them to graduate. But the problem is our attendance has really fluctuated for the last few years. So we really need to focus on attendance strategies and getting kids in school and engaging students. We want to use data to inform how we're making decisions about how we expend resources to support students. Our ninth grade success, we know that if kids get off to a good start, they have higher level of engagement, a higher level of self-efficacy, and less of a deficit that they're fighting against for the next 3 years. So we're really focused on ninth grade success. And then programming, and I'll talk about programming in a second, but when we have engaging programming and promising programming, students thrive. And so when you take these four strategies and put them together, what we have is action and outcomes, and it leads to what we're going to show on the following slide, which is student success through programs. For instance, our CTE concentrators, this is any students who take 2 or more focused areas of CTE, career and technical education classes, have a 92% graduation rate. Our early college program, students in the 40 students who graduated in our early college program were all identified as economically disadvantaged, and that program routinely has a 100% graduation rate or like a 97% graduation rate. AVID, if a student enters AVID and completes the program, they have a 100% graduation rate. And then we've been really doing innovative things with our the programming we support for our students in EL. So everything from team teaching to dual language. And we know that over the last 4 years that through these efforts, we've been able to improve graduation rates by 20%. So here's some promising programs that we need to double down on and continue to be innovative in our approach for helping students be successful. All right, so every school has a unique student population with unique needs. And so all schools have graduation coaches to support with graduation efforts. They have data teams, credit recovery programs, and tracking tools that help to monitor students' progress and make sure kids are getting in the right classes and also getting into credit recovery or getting supports they need to earn those 24 credits. But our schools really do go above and beyond. Here's an example of what some of our schools do, and some of them do more than this, but I just want to highlight some unique aspects of graduation efforts from each school. McKay has a summer school that goes all the way through August, and those August completers, I think, are recognized as the 4-year completers, I believe so. North has Saturday school, South has Flex Tuesdays, where students can get extra support during a flex period, meet with teachers who they need extra support from to ensure that they're staying caught up in their classes. And Sprague has Senior Blitz, right, where they pull a bunch of resources towards supporting the students who are behind or off track. So all these culminate in reduced amount of non-graduates and a higher level of graduates. And next slide. So here's some fast facts. 2,587 students received a regular diploma. 128 students completed school through an extended diploma or a GED. 21 students received an alternative certificate. And 118 students continued with programming, and that's important because, again, it underscores the resilience and our commitments to see kids all the way through. And I also want to mention that of our graduates, we want to make sure they're career and college ready. And part of doing that is making sure that they have the financial needs met to get into college. And so we had over $65 million in scholarships that went out last year. So that's the grad report. Any questions?
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. I do want to note that Second Vice Chair Carson Cunningham has been with us on
great.
Zoom, so we can just get help if there are questions that come through. Go ahead, student advisor.
Yeah. Sorry. You talked about the rise in the 2018 to 2019, year because of COVID. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about that? Why
Yeah,
about
in the
increase?
2019-20 school year.
Yeah.
So in that March, the Oregon Department of Education said that we were going to hold no students harmless during the pandemic as we shut down schools and then try to sort out how that would play out. And so any student who was enrolled in the class was automatically, we made sure that they received the credits for the classes that they were enrolled. So sometimes when with seniors, you might have 40 students who are really close to graduating, and 35 might get there. In this case, if 40 kids needed to pass all their classes to graduate, all 40 of those students got that credit. In most schools, when you have about 400 students, 4 students represents 1%, and so that could have boosted up our graduation rates by 1% or so because of that hold none harmless. Also, there were policies put in place that helped us support students recover credit during the pandemic, and there were credit retrieval or credit recovery clauses where we really worked to support students, and those have kind of dissipated a little bit, but we still maintain the same commitment to serve students. And so that may have accounted for a little bit of a spike, but again, we're talking 1%. So that was where you saw it, but we were still on the rise when when we went into the pandemic.
Thank you, Student Advisor Papas. Yeah, Dr. Chanagiri.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Udasanata. I'm just you said 79.1% of the 3,500 graduated. So that kind of leaves around close to 730 or so students who in that cohort. Moving forward, what do you see as the role of volunteers and mentors in the community who can be connected with some of the students if you feel that they are probably at risk for falling behind or not able to graduate, because you can almost predict from the 9th grade onwards where they are. Do you see a role now that the pandemic is over, even the CDC is going to lift all the restrictions in opening up our community? And there are so many folks who are eager to work with our schools and children and give a helping hand.
It takes a host of efforts. There's no one single thing that can help our kids graduate. It's having trusted adults, not just one trusted adults, but multiple who understand what the students' academic needs are, but also what their social emotional needs are, and that can act as a support. And mentors and volunteers are part of that. And so we already have some adults acting in a mentoring capacity for our students. But as we progress past the pandemic, we're definitely going to take advantage of any opportunities we have to have those who could support in our schools help our students.
So you mentioned some programs for each of the high school. Do those programs involve community volunteer mentors, or they are? And if so, has there been any policy changes we have made to allow volunteers to come and start working? Because we did have restrictive policies during the pandemic.
We have volunteers supporting in our schools now. We have mentoring programs. One thing that really stands out for us is our Aspire program. Our Aspire program is when a student really is connected with a mentor, and they help them work through everything from ensuring that they're on a sound academic track to supporting with any career and college readiness goals that they have.
Thank you. And I believe Second Vice Chair Carson Cottingham has her hand up. If you want to unmute.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry I can't be there. I had a work crisis come up. So thank you for allowing me to join remotely. I just had a question. Thank you so much for this presentation on graduation rates, Deputy Superintendent. When I saw the dip for South Salem, which is my zone, I'm just concerned, like, are we doing enough there to help students early enough in the academic year to make sure that we can bring those numbers up a bit more this year? And, what have we identified, I guess, that we can help lean into to make sure that those rates go back up?
Certainly, that's a good question. South Salem had about a 5-6% drop in their graduation rate, which took them in from the low 90s to the mid 80s in their graduation rate. South has perennially had a higher graduation rate in the district and state. Something that we've looked really closely into what's going on with the graduation rate at South, and one thing that we flagged was that the demographic has shifted a little bit, and when I say that, I mean South had several students several meaning about, I think it's about 65 or so students move into the school that didn't start high school at South. And for a lot of these students, they weren't on track already. And when I say not on track, I mean need to make up, some kids moved in with 2 credits, some kids moved in with 5 credits. We need 24 credits to graduate. But here's some success stories from that. They had about 80 kids or so that were off track, and 44 of those students needed 10 or more credits to graduate, and we were able to get them across the finish line. 13 of those students need 13 credits to graduate, which means they had to double up everything for the year, and we were able to get them across the finish line. And we credit that success to the tracking efforts that we have throughout the year. Our senior success team at South, they do home visits, they do one-on-one meetings with students, and there's sometimes when a student knows that they may not be able to graduate, and we get them plugged into a GED programs, because that will help them be on track when their experience with us is done. I feel confident that the graduation rate is going to improve at South Salem High School, because we talked about cohort variance, but they really are working hard to track students and to support students. So for the South Salem team, there's not any non-graduates that aren't anticipated, and we do want to make sure no students are falling through the cracks.
Thank you so much. I assume also, just from the wider lens of all the schools, are those same types of interventions occurring like at North and elsewhere, or does every school have a slightly different approach based on what they're seeing? Could you give us just a little more info on that too?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So every school has a certain baseline expectation for how we track students. That's when we have a tracking tool, and I had mentioned this on a previous slide. We have our data teams, and we have our grad coaches that we utilize to engage students. But every school also has unique needs and different leadership styles and different ways that their teams meet. And so that's when they incorporate different strategies, which works best for their school community. So again, at a school like Sprague, that might be doing a senior blitz at the beginning of the year and then doing it again midway through the year. whereas a school like South has built-in periods of time for kids to get support while not missing any other classes, which is their Flex Friday or their Flex Tuesday process that they run.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yeah.
Thank you
Director.
so much. I appreciate all the questions. I like hearing questions that I'm thinking, and because I'm sure so many others are as well. And thanks, Ethan, for your presentation. One small additive, though, I could go down a list. So I definitely look forward to having further conversation about all of this because, you know, a big reason why we're here and lots of ideas. So I am curious, though. With that, I may have kind of missed the communication between schools. So as far as, for example, just using the 7 individual strategies that each school has, how long they've had that, how long it's been working based on their changes, and what kind of information they could share with peers to check feasibility to maybe try at their school. And also, as the kiddos that are becoming junior in high school that have open class periods, for example, maybe incorporating more of that peer mentorship and help. I would love to see that in all of our schools. I think it would help with the inclusive feeling and drive for students. And I'll stop with that list, but I will share with you later. So what do you think?
Yeah, so we have our, so yes, our principals talk. They talk a lot. They meet every other Friday at 7 a.m. to talk about data, to exchange strategies. They do professional learning together. And they focus on everything from tier 1 supports to tier 3 supports and how they are able to help students with achievement. And then we also have a group of students who kind of act as peer mentors when our 9th graders arrive and kind of stay connected to them as well at all schools. But there's also other avenues that we can use to boost the amount of peer-to-peer mentorship that we have. And so we really appreciate that comment. And I'm sure some of them are listening, and I could also relay that info back to them as well.
Thank you.
I had another question. As I was looking at the slides that I know were briefly presented with the different demographics of our students and recognizing that the number of, say, Black and African American students is smaller, right, proportionally and number-wise to, say, our Latinx students. But thinking about the very unique language, community needs, right, cultural aspects, family dynamics, can you give, and you spoke to some of the school-wide strategies that are used to increase graduation. Can you provide some examples of what we're doing for some of these like specific demographic groups, district-wide and or at the building levels? Because those are also important, I think, and the numbers fluctuate, and I understand why, but just
Sure.
giving us a better sense.
And that number also doesn't capture a lot of students who fall into that demographic, because we have for the way that our state categorizes students by ethnicity, a lot fall into that multiracial encatchment. And so I would fall into that encatchment. I'm biracial, I'm Black and Latino. So to that end, in our district, we really rely on the Office of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement. We have our community resource specialists who work directly with schools, but also work one-to-one with families on any needs that might have. Maybe a student has a transportation issue, which is preventing them from getting to their first period class. They're working with the student and perhaps the teacher to problem solve that. Maybe there's a school climate issue that's occurring. Our community resource specialists might work with our school administration on addressing that issue. We also have our CSOCs. Our CSOCs were originally deployed from our Office of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement. Now they're based in schools and are part of school communities, and they focus on everything from attendance to helping mentor and support students as well. So those are ways that we're trying to support our various focal groups. Our CRSs support our Hispanic Latino population, our Black African American population, our Pacific Islander population. And then we also rely and partner with our Native American PAC to support our Native American students as well.
Thank you. I don't want to put our student advisor on the spotlight, but y'all are out in your schools, are on your way out. So I was just wanted to provide an opportunity if there was any additional questions or comments from your end. No pressure, but kind of.
Okay, I guess just really quick, for the graphs with like the n equals, is that like the number of students in each term?
Yes.
Okay.
So the data world, and sorry I didn't mention that earlier. Capital N means the entire sample of students, which is 3,500 students, or I think it's 3,491. And the N is the lowercase n is the smaller, is the specific sample of that student population.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
So these numbers would be for this last graduation.
For 2023 in June.
Yes.
Okay.
And it doesn't count our fifth-year students.
It doesn't, okay.
And maybe you can share what your feedback of what you liked and what helped you get, because I know I don't want to reveal your personal information, but you kids have done very well, and I'm proud of you. And so hopefully you can share with Ethan and another time what your favorite things are and some of those highlights that helped you get there besides being you. So thanks.
And one thing that I did want to do, I know it came up earlier at Director Chandagiri, was asking about volunteers. And we do have a policy that allows volunteers in schools. And so I just wanted to clarify that, just in case it comes up, that we do have processes for volunteers to work in our schools.
Yeah, if I may just kind of follow up, yes, we do have a policy. Even I got my background check done as a way to kind of do it. There's a process for me to do it because I wanted to go and see how I can be of help. That's only one piece to it. But if there is a way to systematically do it in such a way that they can be additional help to some of the programs your leaders are undertaking in each of the schools. So in a way, they are deployed in a strategic manner rather than just show up and do whatever way in which volunteer. I was thinking mostly in terms of mentoring and maybe after school tutoring or some kind of ways in which to target in an intentional way so that these kids can come back on track.
My partner is chomping at the bit to share about volunteering.
I just want to speak to this as a volunteer. If the community, if there's a parent who's interested, you can connect with a high school. I did that myself, and the principal calls you or someone in the school, and they ask you what you're interested in. And I had the privilege of mentoring a few students and helping them through that finish line. And what you do is they give you all the information, they connect you with the parent, they connect you with the student. You can help have conversations with teachers about credits that are still missing. You kind of help negotiate the work that student has to turn in, and then you get to go and celebrate graduation with them. So it's just stunning. And every school has a system like that if there's an interested person who wants to mentor and support. And again, I can speak to it from my own experience of just being a community member that wanted to support. So I know all of our high schools would be happy to welcome anyone that wants to come and help. And of course, we have a policy. You have to pass the background check, and then you have to connect with somebody in the school that will tell you exactly what they need you to do.
And I know we're running out of time, but the last thing I just really want to underscore with all of this is that the key to get students to graduate from high school on time or in 5 years is engagement. When we engage our kids, they have a trusted adult, they have a program that they feel connected to, that's when we know they're going to have success. That's when they're going to keep coming to school. That's when they're going to leave, not only as a graduate with a diploma, but also saying, I had a really great experience at Salem-Keizer Public Schools.
Thank you. Our student advisor, Linda Papas, had another question, I believe, so I wanted to just hand it possibly as the last one.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh,
This
no.
might be a silly question too, but you mentioned that these graphs are like the 4-year graduates. Where do like the 5th-year graduates like fit into this, I guess? And like they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I had some data for the 5th-year graduates. So we normally have district-wide about 140 to 150 graduate 5th-year students return, and we're able, and a lot of them are able to finish. So this year we had 120 students finish, and what that shows is we actually really closed the gap, and we're pretty parallel to what the state 5th-year average looks like, which is about 82 to 83% graduation rate each year. So it boosts our graduation rate significantly compared to the rest of the state. And we have summer programs, we have credit recovery programs. We just really hang in there with the students. Students can come back if they need to finish up any classes. And when they do, they're working really closely with a counselor or a grad coach.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. This is, we want to see those numbers go up, and I know we're doing the work, you're doing the work, all of our amazing educators and community members supporting our young adults, technically, right, to move across the finish line. So it's exciting to get to celebrate those accomplishments come spring. So definitely looking forward to that. And thanks for an update on all of the work that is happening. And of course, for us, just recognizing that there's always a little bit more to do, but that is what we're here for as well. So gracias.
Thank you.
It is now time to move on to public comment. I think we're just on time. I'll go ahead through kind of the regular little spiel here just to ground us, while Aaron looks like he's gonna set up the mic situation here. We'll have 30 minutes allowed this evening for public comment. We've provided an opportunity once again for comments to be done, call in, Zoom, in person, and in writing. Tonight we have a combination of in-person and Zoom comment from what I can see. Each participant has 3 minutes, and electronic mechanisms are used for translation. We have a countdown timer on screen for monitoring time, and the timer once again counts down from 3 minutes. At 30 seconds, it turns from green to yellow, and at 1 second, it turns red and plays a short bell to signal that time is up. We do just want to remind everyone to please be mindful of your pace, as we have our ASL interpreters, but also have our Spanish interpreters. If the board receives written comment ahead of the meeting, that written comment will be posted on the district website. We will go ahead and move through the list for the next 30 minutes, and then we'll proceed hopefully for a break to help with the transition. And I'll try to call up 2 names, or the first name, and then kind of cue the next person to be ready as well, if that's helpful. The first person we have is Kelsey Dunlap, which looks like is on Zoom. Are they with us?
They are. Kelsey, are you able to unmute and turn your camera on?
Public Schools Board of Directors. My name is Kelsey Dunlap, and I'm a physics and computer science teacher at McKay High School. I'm also a proud member of the Salem-Keizer Education Association, speaking as an individual. In 2022, I had the opportunity to participate in the Advanced Placement Physics Test Reading, which brings hundreds of physics teachers from across the nation together to score AP Physics tests. One day during our lunch break, my lunch group's conversation turned to class size. A teacher friend from Texas was complaining about her on-level physics courses enrollment climbing to 30 students. She saw the look of disbelief on my face and asked me about it, so I explained that at my high school in Oregon, any class with fewer than 30 students is considered small, and we are happy if we have fewer than 35. The whole table was shocked. Educators from all corners of the United States could not believe that these overloaded classes were tolerated. One pointed out that the National Science Teachers Association recommends science class sizes in every class, not the average over all classes, be limited to 24 students because lab accidents increased dramatically with enrollment over 24. When I have had classes of 42, 43, and even 46 freshman science students, I begged, borrowed, and yes, stole tables, chairs, and desks so that every student in my classroom had a place to sit and room to work. I pride myself on knowing every student's name and something about them within the first week so that they feel welcomed, included, and cared about. It was impossible with 46, and I felt like a failure. Last month, the 9th grade physics teachers at McKay received an email from our supervisor that one of our colleagues was transferring to another school, and acknowledging the likelihood of hiring a qualified teacher for this position in the middle of the school year was quite low, that we would be absorbing her students into our classes for semester 2. We were told, quote, "For semester 2, please rearrange your classroom as needed to accommodate for up to 38 students each period." End quote. Those are 38 students with diverse interests, needs, accommodations, and backgrounds who all deserve a science teacher who knows them and understands what they need to be successful. It is impossible to serve that many students in the way they deserve, and it makes me feel like a failure. Tonight, and over the course of the next week, you will receive emails from our members asking you to use your influence to help settle a fair, equitable, and just contract for our licensed educators. Many will speak to the importance of contract language that addresses the class size issue in this district. I hope that you take the time to read our emails and use your influence to urge the district bargaining team to dig deep and settle the contract that our students deserve.
Yes. Ramiro, and then followed by Michael Vasquez.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Presidenta Guzmán Ortiz y
Good evening,
Superintendenta Castañeda
Chair
y miembros del gabinete.
Guzmán
Mi
Ortiz
nombre es Ramiro Márquez.
and
Tengo 2
Castañeda,
Permite
members of
tantito.
the board.
The audio shouldn't be coming through, correct? Okay. Además no queremos que se escuche el audio. Puede, if you need interpretation, you can use the devices. Do we have a channel for it? Channel 2 for English.
1, 2, 3.
Disculpe, ahorita.
Okay, now we're good.
Intentarlo otra vez. Adelante.
Buenas noches.
We can
Presidenta
try
Guzmán
again.
Ortiz,
Good
Superintendenta
evening,
Castañeda y miembros del gabinete.
Chair Guzman
Mi
Ortiz,
nombre es
Superintendent
Ramiro Márquez, tengo 2
Castañeda,
hijos en el
and
distrito
Board
escolar.
Director. My name is Ramiro Marquez. I have
Y
2
represento a
children
algunos
in this
padres
school
y madres
district,
líderes de la
and I
coalición para la
represent
igualdad de Salem-Keizer.
the mothers and
Estoy aquí
fathers that are
para
leaders for the
pedirles
coalition in
que
Salem-Keizer. I
den
am
prioridad a
here
mantener el personal bilingüe,
to ask
bicultural,
you to
personal tutor,
prioritize the
educadores, personal de
bilingual
apoyo y
staff,
administradores
that is
en estos
educators,
tiempos de
support staff, and
reducciones presupuestarias.
administrators
Es lo justo,
when
equitativo
we
y
are
ético de
facing
hacer después de tantas
budget
historias
reductions.
de
I think this
negligencias
is
con nuestros miles de
the most
estudiantes
just
y
thing
familias
to do
latinas en
after
Salem-Keizer. Por
negligent
favor,
times
necesitamos un
regarding our
fácil
students
acceso
and
al
families
personal
in
bilingüe y
Salem-Keizer.
bicultural
We need to have
capacitado
easy
y más
access to
accesible para ayudar a
bicultural,
nuestros estudiantes
bilingual,
y comunidad
trained
latina.
staff to
Gracias.
be able to help our Latino
Muchas
community and
gracias, señor
students.
Ramírez.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ramiro.
Michael Vasquez, and then Isabel Santos. Isabel Santos. Corríjanme.
Correct me when I'm wrong.
Good evening, Chair Guzman Ortiz, Superintendent Castañeda, and members of the board. My name is Michael Vasquez, and I work for Pineros y Campesinos Unidos del Noroeste, PECUN, and I'm here representing the voice of farm worker parents with children in the Salem-Keizer School District. We recognize the hard decisions that have to be made, and as you go through this process, here are some items that we want you to consider as you make these difficult decisions. The first being bilingual bicultural staff to include educators, support staff, and administrators, dual language expansion, and mental health support. Expanding the dual language program is not just an investment in our students' futures, it is an investment in the future of our community as a whole. I urge the board to seize this opportunity to expand the dual language program within the Salem-Keizer Public School District, and let us embrace diversity, celebrate multiculturalism, and empower students to become global citizens who can navigate the complexities of our world with confidence and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Isabel Santos, and then Karen Kinnett.
Buenas noches, Presidenta Guzmán Ortiz,
Good evening,
Superintendente
President
Castañeda, y
Chair
miembros del
Guzmán
gabinete.
Ortiz, Superintendent,
Mi nombre es Isabel Ambrosio y
and
represento al
Board
grupo de
Directors. My
padres y
name is
madres
Isabel
líderes de la
Ambrosio. I
Coalición para la
represent
Igualdad de
parents and
Salem-Keizer.
groups of the
Sé que ahora
Salem-Keizer
estamos pasando
Coalition.
por unos momentos
I know that we
difíciles
are currently going through some
presupuestarios y que
difficult
hay muchas necesidades.
statutory
Les pedimos que den prioridad a más acceso
times,
a consejeros
and we
bilingües,
ask that to give
biculturales y
priority
especialistas de la
for
salud mental.
more
Sabiendo
bicultural
que la
and
salud
bilingual
emocional de
counselors and
nuestros
mental health
estudiantes es una
specialists, knowing
prioridad
that the
para que
emotional
ellos
health of
logren
our
su
students is a
éxito
priority
académico
for them to
y
achieve
logren
academic success
graduarse capacitados
and
para ir a la
graduate
universidad.
college
En este
ready.
momento, nuestro distrito
Right now,
escolar tiene
our
más de
school district has
16,000
more than
estudiantes latinos
16,000
y las
Latino
necesidades de
students,
regular sus
and the
emociones
needs
son
to
muchas.
regulate their emotions are
Sabemos en estos
many.
momentos que no
We know
tenemos la
that currently
oportunidad de
we do not
contratar
have the
más consejeros
opportunity to
especialistas
hire more
bilingües
bilingual,
biculturales,
bicultural
pero por
counselors
favor
and
hagan más
specialists, but
fácil
please
el
make it
acceso a
easier
los
for
servicios
students
de
and their
consejeros y
families to access
especialistas
the services
bilingües
of bilingual,
biculturales a los
bicultural
estudiantes y a
counselors
sus
and
familias.
specialists.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Kinnett, and I am a middle school teacher in the district. Every day, I arrive at work at 7:15, an hour before my scheduled reporting time. At that early hour, I try not to look too closely at the chair as I sit down. It's old and stained and not very comfortable, but it was the best that I could find in the furniture discard pile at my school. As a teacher, it never occurred to me to request something new, so you can imagine my shock, dismay, and outrage when I recently learned that all of the furniture was replaced at the Lancaster Professional Center. Are you kidding me? I've brought my own children into school to help me steal tables from a room of a retiring teacher, but the district gets new, matching furniture. The district keeps telling us that we are in a budget crisis because the state is not providing enough money. But I contend that we are in a budget crisis because the district has spent its money foolishly, and now it wants to balance its budget on the backs of teachers and classified employees. When I was a new teacher, I was able to purchase a 1,300 square foot home for $137,000. Today, that same home costs $380,000. Teacher salaries have not tripled in the past 20 years, but home prices almost have. What are young teachers and classified employees to do? Cost of living adjustments need to reflect the reality of inflation. I have 3 children who attend in this school in this district, 2 seniors and 1 freshman. They are smart, kind, funny, and hardworking, all of the things that you would want your teachers to be. But none of my children will be teachers. They've seen me grading essays on Friday nights and planning every weekend, so they're choosing careers that will show them respect and that will compensate them fairly. I do not feel respected or supported by a district that foolishly gave double-digit salary increases to its administrators and cabinet-level positions, but is only willing to offer about half of that to the people who make a daily difference in student lives. Seriously, what were you thinking? Additionally, I am concerned about how the district wants to fund FTE. If a teacher takes on another class, that teacher doesn't just work for that hour. Teaching is not babysitting. That teacher is planning, grading, contacting parents, contacting counselors, working with behavior teams, and performing myriad other tasks that make a classroom run smoothly. Trying to change how FT is awarded shows a fundamental lack of understanding in what teaching is all about. This is one of the reasons why we need more people in schools and fewer people in district offices. Superintendent Castaneda and school board members, I urge you to push your district bargaining team to the finish line. I am not asking for a new chair, but I'm asking that you show us, the licensed and classified employees of the district, that we have your respect and support by agreeing to a fair contract. We are so close. Let's make it happen now. Thank you.
Thank you. On Zoom, I believe we have Lori, is it Beetzel? Betzel.
Yep, they are with us.
Okay, great. And then we have Eva Domingo following.
Superintendent Castaneda. My name is Lori Beitzel, and I'm a special education teacher here in Salem-Keizer. I want to start by saying that I love my students, their families, and the coworkers I get to work with every day. We are in the middle of a mediation with the district to come to a fair and equitable contract so we can best serve our students and keep the wonderful staff we have here at Salem-Keizer. When I think about our caseload and class size issue, I have to think about the district's strategic plan. Equitable education for all and preparing all students for graduation and beyond. How are our teachers supposed to achieve these goals when they often have class sizes over 30, when speech language pathologists have caseloads upwards of 100, when elementary LRC teachers have 40 or more, and tonight I learned that autism consultants have 170 caseloads or more. Both of the classrooms in my kindergarten at my school are over 30, and both of my first grades are close to it. As you know, research shows that early developmental skills and education are determining factors for student outcomes in high school years. When we get students in kindergarten and sometimes as late as first grade, many of our students have not been to school before. They are lacking basic fine motor skills, do not know letters or numbers, let alone the social skills and stamina it takes to be in an elementary education classroom. But let's talk about classroom caseloads. As of today, I serve 39 students in reading, writing, and math. I often support with behavior skills and social skills, their case management and eligibility. Additionally, I have just been assigned 7 students who will be transitioning from preschool into our kindergarten next year, and they require significant file review and research so that their needs will best be met when they come in the fall. Including these students, I will have 50 by the end of this month, which is 15 more than I had in December. I believe that with caseload caps and smaller class sizes, we will see an increase in our class academic skill set, a decrease in behaviors, higher graduation rates, and equip our teachers for classroom success. I agree that our students deserve equitable education for all, but we cannot do that with these caseloads and class sizes. I implore you to discuss these concerns with the district bargaining team, and I'm hopeful that the district will support our students with caseload caps and smaller class sizes this Thursday in mediation. Thank you.
Right there?
I think that's
President Guzman Ortiz, Superintendent Castañeda, members of the board. My name is Eva Domingo and my partner is Ellen Bernard Lagos. We both attend dual language program at North Salem High School. Attending a dual language program has been a great opportunity. I have been in the dual language program since kindergarten when I attended Grand Elementary School. Our class has remained mostly together. We have improved our Spanish and we have built excellent
Sorry,
friendships.
if they're having a hard time hearing, if you can get a little bit closer. Thank you. Just pick up where you were. That's okay.
Our class has remained mostly together. We have improved our Spanish. We have built excellent friendships. Not only do we learn Spanish, but we also celebrate our culture and diversity, and this makes us feel like we belong and are important. Many of my friends who attend English-only classes have lost their native language. The dual language program helps me stay bilingual, but speaking only Spanish at home is not enough. Most importantly, we are learning professional Spanish. The dual program teaches us to use the language as you would use in real life throughout different classes offered, such as science, history, and mathematics, with vocabulary that was not taught in our homes. like Helen's friend Cassidy, who is in the program to learn another language, but her first language is English. Helen says, I hate to admit this, but she almost knows Spanish better than I do because since she entered the program, they have taught her everything about the language more than my Spanish at home, and she understands it better. Because of that, I also follow in her footsteps in this way. This is why many students of other races choose this program. It would help us greatly in their career and allow us to include this powerful skill in the resume for college and future careers. Being bilingual benefits those students. Personally, I would like to be a professional in education. Being bilingual and bicultural would help me in this way to support other students. It would make me happy to know that those newly arrived students from different countries would have someone like me who they can feel comfortable in belonging in their school experience. Ms. Gomez from Grant, Ms. Wisdom from Parrish Middle School, who inspired me a lot. And one day I believe I can have an impact like theirs. Please do not eliminate dual language programs so that others, including my younger sister, can benefit from them.
Gracias, Eva. Following Dunechka, we'll have Andres Domingo.
Good evening. President Guzman Ortiz, Superintendente Castañeda, members of the board. My name is Dunechka Otero Serrano, and I serve as the Executive Director at the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equality. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge Olga Kopp, who, as you know, was honored by the Oregon Association of Latina Administrators as the Latina of the Year for the state of Oregon. Assistant Superintendent Kopp, we are very proud of you and how you represent our community. One thing that Assistant Superintendent Kopp does is lead the implementation of board meetings to be accurately translated for Spanish-speaking families. Among her many efforts, ensuring at each of these meetings that the translation from English to Spanish is effective and that connectivity is good for all our parents. This ensures a democratic and equitable process. Olga, we respect you and appreciate you for this and everything you do for the families in our district. This is an example of the importance of having bilingual, bicultural, and trained employees at all levels of the organization. It is precisely what provides us with a sense of belonging. We understand that the district is facing deep budget cuts. However, we must ensure that our families have access to bilingual educators and bilingual support staff. This is crucial for families to help their children access education. This means teachers, reception staff, bus drivers, janitors, administrators, and instructional assistants. Every bilingual, bicultural person in Salem-Keizer School District helps our families feel welcome and seen in their own language and culture. And we know the impact of bilingual teacher on academic performance. We must remember that 45% in the district, students in the district come from Spanish-speaking families, but still only 10% of our teachers are Spanish bilingual and bicultural. When a tiny item is so small, it's really hard to cut. Finally, we have noticed in the district recent offers to both associations the attention to bilingual differences. We know that this means higher salaries for people who speak more than one language. Offering higher salaries to bilingual individuals recognizes the value for our families and our workers. We know you have tough decisions ahead, and we support the hard work of both the superintendent and the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Andres, we'll move on to Zoom to Tyler Scala-Lakeberg, who will be joining us.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, Presidenta
Good evening,
Guzmán Ortiz,
Chair
Superintendente
Guzman
Castañeda
Ortiz,
y miembros del
Superintendent
gabinete.
Castañeda, members
Mi
of the
nombre
board.
es Andrés Domingo. Tengo tres
My
hijos en
name is
Salem-Keizer
Andres Domingo. I have 3 children
y
in
soy miembro del
Salem-Keizer,
grupo de
and
padres
I
y
am a
madres
member of
líderes
the
de la
Salem-Keizer
Coalición para
Equality
Igualdad de
Coalition
Salem-Keizer.
Leaders Group.
Estoy aquí en
I am here
representación de todos los
on behalf of
padres
all
de nuestro
parents
grupo de liderazgo
in our
para pedirles
leadership group to
que
ask
den
you
prioridad a mantener el programa dual
to prioritize maintaining the
de las escuelas del noroeste de
Northeast
Salem.
Salem schools
Por
dual
más de 20
programs.
años, los padres
For
y
more
madres
than 20
latinos del noroeste de
years,
Salem
the Latino
habíamos
parents of Northeast
venido
Salem
abogando por la
had been
creación y el
advocating for
crecimiento
the
de los
creation
programas
and growth of
duales
dual
en nuestras
programs
escuelas. Hasta
in our
hace
schools.
2 años,
Until 2 years ago,
gracias a la decisión de la
thanks to the
superintendente
decision of
Christy
Superintendent Christy Perry
y nuestros miembros de la mesa directiva, los
and our
programas
board
duales
members,
fueron implementados y ha
dual
sido la
programs were
mejor decisión
implemented,
que
and
hemos
that has
tenido en
been the
este
best
distrito
decision
escolar
we have
en
had
muchos años.
in this school district in many
Hoy
years.
podemos notar el progreso académico
Today, we
en
can
nuestros
notice the
estudiantes
academic progress in our students
que tanto hemos anhelado por años.
that we have longed for so
Todos
many
ustedes
years.
tienen la obligación moral, ética,
You all
y
have
de
a moral
preservar
and
estos
ethical
programas
obligation
duales,
to preserve
los
these
cuales
dual
dan la
programs,
equidad
which provide the
académica
academic
que se
equity
merecen nuestros niños
that our Latino
latinos del
children
noroeste de Salem.
of
Muchas
Northeast
gracias por su buen
Salem
trabajo.
deserve. Thank you so much for your work.
Muchas gracias, señor Andrés.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andres.
Go ahead, Tyler. I don't, the audio's not coming through, sorry. Let's try that again.
Can you hear us now?
There you go, thanks.
Okay. Okay, good evening, school board chairs, superintendent, directors, and student advisors. I'm Tyler Stella Lakeberg, president of the Salem-Keizer Education Association. Tonight, I'm sharing an experience of an early career kindergarten teacher in the district. Here is her story. Are you okay, teacher? Of course she isn't okay, she's crying. This is what I heard from my class of kindergartners after they watched one of their classmates pulling on my hair and then the student letting go only long enough so he can punch me in the eye. I felt that I had put on a brave face to not worry my class, and I didn't want to seem rattled. But as much as I wanted to act like everything was fine, I just felt in shock. I had already had multiple incidents with the student hitting, biting, spitting, hair pulling, scratching, throwing chairs, and other items. But I had one thought in my head that I couldn't get moved past. One parent earlier had told me that their child loved school and how they were made to feel safe and protected. And all I could wonder was, how could they feel safe in this environment? When they watch an adult, their teacher, being attacked by a student on what was nearly a daily basis, how could they feel protected? Past that day, I've continued to have incidents with that same student physically attacking me. And that is just one of many students in my class. And the thought that scares me the most is that this is perceived as being normal by other students. This is their first experience in a school setting, and the lesson they are being taught that it is okay and normal for a student to attack a staff member. I am past saying that I am fine. I am not okay. This is just many stories of educators around our district experiencing similar incidents on a daily basis. We have students in crisis that need help. In recent listening sessions, the data showed that a sense of belonging was the school board priority that our community agreed with. The data also showed that class sizes and student access to teachers was one of the biggest factors for a student's sense of belonging to be realized. As an educator, I know that class size is an important component for student success. It is literally a numbers game. The more students I have, the less focus and attention I can give them individually. Such attention that could determine a student's success in my class, a feeling of sense of belonging, and possibly determine if they graduate or not. Success or failure, graduation or dropout start at the lowest grades with our youngest of students. Interventions take time. Smaller class sizes are just one approach to lessen triggers for students and provide more needed time. Class sizes, like SKA has advocated for, would go a long way to achieve the district's goals that were presented in tonight's presentation and get students the help that they need and deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. And this will be our last comment for the evening. Piper Martin, are you with us? You might want to move it up just because it kind of needs to be really close to your face so we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Piper Martin, and I'm a senior at McKay High School.
And my name is Hector. I am also a senior at McKay.
The wealth disparity in Salem-Keizer Public School District is astronomical. While the historical accomplishments McKay has made is a cause for celebration, the economic distribution of income throughout Salem-Keizer is excruciatingly alarming. Here at McKay, we are only gaining resources based on school/district funding or fundraisers. According to public tax return records, McKay Music fundraises at the same rate as the other 5 schools. Yet where the other schools break away is student fees. If McKay had student fees like other schools, many students like myself would not be able to participate in band. And according to the public tax records, neither of the non-title schools brought in less than $55,000 from revenue. The most a school brought in was $200,000. Last year, between fundraising and district SIA funding, McKay High School got to spend $26,000. This money was used for the necessities, like bus fees, instrument repairs, competition fees, and music. Scholarships for our students so that we can continue to have life-changing experiences. And according to census data, McKay High School is located in the second poorest community in Oregon, and lack of wealth should not be a reason to miss out on opportunities. At McKay, being involved in music is free. Free because a lot, if not all, of the students would not be able to afford paid fees to be in band. Because of this, musicians aren't being charged, so that makes the total income for our program almost 10 times lower than some other Salem-Keizer schools. This means that the experience provided by other band programs is compiled of up to 10 times the resource than that of McKay. The SIA funds have been the great equalizer and have allowed us life-changing opportunities in the last 3 years.
With these fundings, McKay has managed to show not only the district, but the state of Oregon what is possible for a Title I school like ours with more of an equal playing field. Despite having less opportunities than other schools in the district, McKay managed to place first in not only the district, but the state of Oregon with our jazz band, and 5th place in the state with our wind ensemble, both of which are accomplishments that have never been seen before in McKay history. McKay can't continue to thrive. The funding towards our band programs are cut. We need this continued funding for future generations of musicians at McKay to have the same opportunities as any other school. To put this into another perspective, how important the funding is towards our program, McKay, this last fall, the largest marching band program in the district. We had 2 staff members supervising the entire program. Our band director, Scott Obzerado, and our part-time percussion instructor, Emily Sorensen. What we are asking for today is to continue funding the McKay Music Program, to continue to provide equitable access to music. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. That cuts us just to time. I want to once again thank everyone who's joined us via Zoom and in person for your time and your comments this evening. We'll go ahead and take a break on through 7:55, and we'll return then. Thank you.
First semester, you have to pick between
All right. The mics are not on.
the word in Spanish and you have to finish it in English. Whether it's like the whole form or whatever.
Mic check. Is anyone's mic on? Test,
Yes, we
test.
hear you on the
Okay,
mic.
there we go. Now we can, okay. Thanks for that. All right, thank you, everyone. It is time to get back onto our agenda. We will jump right back into the consent calendar at this moment. Superintendent Castañeda, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to provide further review on for this portion?
No, thank you.
We're good? All right. If that's the case, we can move forward. It is the consent agenda, so we can move forward with the vote if there is a motion for it.
I move that we move.
All right, we have a first.
Second, third, fourth, we're all good.
All right, and we have Director Chanaguri moves as first and Director Hudson seconds. Now let me go ahead and find here. So with that, we can move forward with the vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as is, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, thank you. I was waiting for Ashley. Thanks. That is all in. That was smooth. All right. We can move on to then the action items on our agenda. And first one here is one that we'll share with a heavy heart, of course. We want to publicly share that on February 7th, 2024, the Salem-Keizer Public Schools Board leadership, superintendent, and legal counsel were notified via email that first Vice Chair Osvaldo Avila would be resigning his position as Salem-Keizer Public Schools Board effective immediately. We, per Oregon law, the first action that the board must take is to declare a vacancy for Zone 1 on the board and appoint a new director to fill that vacancy. The new director will be appointed to fill the the position for the zone through June 30th, 2025, which would have been First Vice Chair Avila's elected four-year term. That's when it would have ended. So the appointed person, again, June 30th, 2025. Do want to just briefly state that it's been a pleasure to serve alongside First Vice Chair Avila. We both started here in 2021. Just heartfelt appreciation for his leadership, his wisdom, dedication, and his support in improving the outcomes of our underserved populations or students, and just that steadfast focus on a brighter future for everyone. Has a passion for career and college readiness. I know he was always keeping us on our toes about what are we doing and how around college and career readiness, where are students heading off to, and serving as a mentor for young Latino men as well. While we'll miss Director Avila, we'll move forward and fill the vacancy using the appropriate appointment process. I know some of us have gone through this process in the past already. I do want to just open up for discussion, see if there are any questions or comments around this public announcement about the appointment process, essentially. Director Chandragiri?
Well, thank you, Chair. You know, it's difficult for all of us, including the community, when sudden change happens. So I just want to thank Vice Chair Avila for being there. It's tough times, and you know, it takes a lot of time and dedication and commitment. So moving forward, we all are here, and we have to work to ensure that we continue this process of being there for our children. So, I understand the vacancy can be filled by a person who resides in that particular zone number 1, right? So they have to be at least a resident for that. I urge our community to please step forward and, and apply. And we have a process. We have gone through this in the past. And we are all kind of lay people, as none of us have any extra training. So we also, just like that, we learned on the way. We are all here to support and help each other learn. And we have a wonderful superintendent and a good district leadership. We will all kind of get through this and be there for our children. So I urge our community to kindly consider applying for this position. It may look very difficult from outside, but this is my second rodeo. I assure you, we can all learn together and we will support each other. And we are in an important point where we need everybody's help to work together and move forward. So that's my appeal as a veteran here. So please, we will get through this. And I really want to thank Chair for being there and supporting all of us through this particular moment. So, thanks.
Thank you, Director Chandagiri. Do you have other comments or discussion about this announcement? Post-discussion, we'll move, we'll need a motion to declare the vacancy. So I just might want to make sure that if there are any additional comments before we make that motion.
I make the motion that there has been a vacancy in our board due to the resignation of Vice Chair Avila.
And the intent to appoint a new director.
As a board, we need to appoint a new director to replace that position.
I second it.
Thank you. We have a second there. Any additional?
Director Carson Cunningham has her hand raised.
Please do. Second, Vice Chair.
I can wait are we moving to discussion now?
Yeah, we can do discussion on this motion, so please.
Okay, I'll kick off discussion then. Thank you, Chair. I just also wanted to voice my gratitude to Director Avila. It's really been a pleasure to serve alongside you and with you for the last 3 years. And it is a large time commitment, and I appreciate how all in you've been throughout your service to our public schools in Salem-Keizer, and consider you a wonderful colleague and friend and wish you the very best. I will miss serving with you.
Thank you. All right. Director Richardson has a comment. I think it was my eye.
I just would like to express the same sentiments that we've heard from our board directors tonight. You were just awesome. You were very good about sitting next to me and making sure I knew what I was supposed to do and where we were on the agenda. And just a great mentor to me. You're going to be missed greatly. Please know that our hearts are with you, and we wish you the best in everything that you are currently experiencing. Thank you for all you have done for Salem-Keizer Public Schools.
Thank you.
I could say mine really quick. Sorry,
Yeah.
just really quick.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you, Osvaldo, if you're listening. Maybe this will be one of the last, or hopefully you are, but I do appreciate your kindness that you showed towards me. It was, there's a lot of thoughts coming into this position, and I do appreciate that you were kind. You were like a friend. You'd come up and greet me. If I was late to something, I had traumas, ask how it was and check in. But anyway, your work and your sacrifice, because we all know it is for the love of our community, but family does come first, and I'm proud of you for having the courage to see that, understand it, and make that decision. So God bless you and take care.
Thank you. I will just make a last comment. It was Director Avila who was served as chair that first year, and if I remember correctly, was when we changed our leadership structure essentially to have a second vice chair. And so here's the moment where that was a forward-thinking idea, recognizing that it was a lot of work. Coming in, it was like, oh my goodness, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's commitment, and we need to have a system of support. And for that, I am thankful. I am right now able to lean on Second Vice Chair Carson Cunningham with the great loss of our Second Vice Chair Avila. So just things play out in the way that they do, and sometimes we don't know exactly what the impacts of something that we implement might have down the line. So just kudos for prepping for your exit far ahead, Osvaldo. Let's go ahead and move for a motion. So I'll just state this again. Do I have a motion to declare the vacancy on Salem-Keizer Public? Sorry, we have the motion. Let's move forward with the vote, but I'll read it out loud once more. All those in favor of declaring a vacancy on the Salem-Keizer Public Schools Board of Directors in Zone 1 and the intent to appoint a new director to complete the term left vacant, which is through June 30th, 2025, and to direct the district to develop an application process and receive applications on behalf of the board. All who support, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That is all board members present. I do just want to state that the application process will be posted online in the near future. I don't know that we have a date intended yet. And Director Chandagiri, we spoke about Zone 1. For anyone who's interested in looking up their zones, you can access the district website, and under the school board tab, I believe you can find the maps, the zone maps, and identify where Zone 1 is and whether that is within your residential area for anyone who might be interested. So anything we want to add on that, Superintendent, or anyone? No?
I think you should have lived there for at least a year, I believe. And you have to be a voting member to live in that Zone 1, which covers most of the West Salem. And there's a small strip of South Salem along the River Road side where Director Goss used to live. So that's pretty much the territory. You don't have to run around in the street side and do all the campaigning. Just show up, fill in the piece of paper, please fill in. That's pretty much it is. We have done the hard work, don't worry.
Thank you. All right. Let's move right ahead into readings and discussion. I'll hand it over to all right, Deputy Superintendent Olga Cobb to provide us with the first reading for the dual language high school civics curriculum. And this item, just for notice, will return to us in March for the second reading and adoption, but go ahead.
Correct. Thank you so much. Thank you, Board Chair Guzman Ortiz, board members, student advisors, and Superintendent Castañeda. I'm here to give you our first reading, and it's a first review of our results for a recommendation for adoption for the dual language high school civics curriculum. As a reminder of process, we will always come to you with adoption of curriculum in materials that are adopted by our schools and by our teachers and put in front of our students. I'll show you here in the next slide a little bit of the timeline and the process. This process started in October, where we put together a steering committee, and this is a group of educators and curriculum specialists that start screening materials and gathering all the information available to us for dual language civics. Then we started in November, the scoring of these materials using the rubrics that ODE requires us to use for anything that we put in front of students and that we use for instruction. After the team decided on a specific curriculum, then we do pilots in schools, and this means that teachers will actually implement the material and then share it with students, and they'll teach a couple units. This is a great opportunity for us to try the material, provide feedback to the committee, and then the students also give us feedback on how the material is working for them. We then open an opportunity for community to come in and look at the material, read the material, look at the assessments, and ask us any questions. And we did these a couple of times in November at a couple of our schools. The pilot schools were North and West Salem, and you see their logos there. Then we start gathering data, again, from teachers, from students, and from community members, and put all of that information together, and we put it out to a vote of teachers. In January, we reviewed the votes, we reviewed the data, and then we had an opportunity to also invite one of the board members. Board member Hinojos Presi was there with us, and this meeting lasted like 3 hours, and she stayed the whole time. And I wish she was here to share with you her experience, but I think she enjoyed hearing directly the experience from teachers. And then the committee voted and unanimously voted and picked this curriculum to bring it to you today as a recommendation. Next slide, please. So this is the materials that were considered: Educación Física y Economía from McGraw-Hill, and then TCI Gobierno Vivo, El Poder y la Política, y tú. We chose to pilot, the teachers chose to pilot TCI Gobierno Vivo, El Poder, la Política, y tú, and these are the materials that were open to the public and again, just shared for feedback from the community. And then finally, after the meetings, next slide, please. We chose the TCI Gobierno Vivo, El Poder y la Política. It has incredible materials and supports in English and Spanish available. And if you remember, we, as part of our adoption of curriculum, we only consider materials that have both resources in English and Spanish that are comparable. These materials are user-friendly. They're not only well-translated, but they also have authentic writing and authentic authors in the curriculum. And it's a well-organized material that was easy for students to navigate. It has great multimedia resources, and then we have resources that students can use at home and use in the classroom. So overall, the teachers really appreciated it. And we will bring it back next month to you for a vote. And if you approve it, then we'll move into purchasing and hopefully do some professional development for teachers in August, and then put it in hands of teachers and kids in every dual language classroom that teaches civics. So high school social studies teachers will receive these materials in the fall. I'll take any questions if you have them at this time.
Yeah, go ahead, Director.
No, you go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I didn't have
was gonna
questions.
do thank you. Thank you for that. I got to go view. I really appreciate it when it is publicly available for everyone to go out. I got the parent view notice as a parent, so
Great.
kind and helpful, and I liked what I saw, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. That's great.
Thanks, Director Hudson. Director Chandaguri?
I really want to say thank you very much for this dual language civics education. You know, as an immigrant, a naturalized immigrant, I'm just a 200-question citizen. And it takes a lot for us as immigrants to really understand the civic structure of how the government works and how policies are done. Not only that, also to develop a sense of belonging in this nation, which is another totally different skill where you start feeling that this is my place, I have to do everything, so that you feel authentically able to participate. Otherwise, as immigrants, we are at risk of being taken, essentially being pulled by truth decay or some kind of narrative that kind of gets us scared or moved to one side or other side without completely understanding from different perspectives. That's why you don't have much. The political socialization often depends on whoever showed up and connected with you. as opposed to completely understanding. Why, in my opinion, it is important for folks who don't primarily understand English is because if you don't know what you don't know, then you don't know what is taken away. And you cannot really participate in, say, if you don't know how civil rights work, what is the importance of each of these constitutional amendments, then it becomes very difficult to say my child or my family is affected. So I am so glad that you're all introducing civics education in both languages so that everybody has the full access to the government structure and they can take pride in our nation and participate in the significance of each of what we do. And the second part is that's how they can be involved in making informed decisions about what needs to change. We all talk about dismantling systemic barriers, but this is how you participate. I wish we had started civics education from kindergarten onwards, like in other countries that is the case, where we start according to developmental stage so that you don't wait till high school. I believe about 20% of our schools in the nation, very few states have civics education starting early. So this is a good start. And I wish all of us had these books when we came into this country so that we didn't have to scramble through 200 questions and learn. My hope is it allows more participation. It will also bring down some discipline problem because you understand how different perspectives work within your cohort. It allows people to practice democracy or diplomacy or dialogue from different points of view, and to know that different points of view have merit and different perspectives. So that is one thing beautiful about civics education. And without civics education, our republic is it's at risk. So what you're doing is a good thing, and thank you for doing this. Long overdue for our nation. So I appreciate this, and I would be supporting it. And I wish I had somebody had given me in '96 when I came to this country. As an adult, I had to scramble.
Thank you, Director. Do you have questions from this side? You're good. Deputy Superintendent, if you could just remind me when, a little bit, again, and I know we've talked about this, but the pathway to some of these dual language classrooms in high school, right, it looks a little different, and I know that we're still growing, establishing. That's one part of the question. And then the other, is there a current curriculum, or what's the current situation? I think that was the other part that I just wanted to understand a little bit more.
Yeah. So to your first question, remember, we are growing to make sure that students have half of their instructional day in English and half of their instructional day in Spanish. So this opens up another possibility for a student who's in the dual language track to take maybe Spanish language arts and then this dual language civics classroom and maybe a math class in Spanish. So it just opens up more possibilities for students to pick and choose from, with the goal of them doing 50% of their instructional day in English and 50% of their instructional day in Spanish. This is a great step for us as we continue to grow our expansion, to continue to grow in our expansion of dual language programming for schools. And we're hoping that North, West, and maybe McKay start with this programming in the fall. And then your second question, remind me.
It was if there was anything that we currently
yes.
had, but that kind of answers it.
The teachers are incredible at just kind of making what they can with the resources that are available to them. So this is improvement to give them curriculum that is research-based and curriculum that they don't have to translate themselves. They don't have to be looking for books and do the translations on their own. I think it also honors their profession, and I wish Director Hinojos Presi was here, because I just felt a lot of excitement in that room from teachers that have been expecting these materials and now have them in their hands. Well, we'll have them in their hands in the fall.
Thank you. I do want to echo, Can I go back to high school just because I would love to take a class like this? So thank
Can
you.
I just have a follow-up question?
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, so I thought this is for all students, that they will have civics education. Isn't that required by state law? Or is it only for those who opt for this?
This is for students who are in the dual language strand, because this material is in English and in Spanish, but it's available for all teachers. All teachers will teach civics.
So all high school students will have civics education as required by the law, right?
Exactly.
Thank
This specific one was chosen because of the Spanish instruction.
That's okay. But as long as everybody gets, nobody should escape civics education. That's all I care.
Not under our
I'm
watch.
pretty sure, yeah, they need those credits to graduate. Back to those 24 credits that Ethan was sharing earlier.
May I just
Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to go into something else. Thank you, Karina. So I was just thought I'd take a moment to voice what folks may be thinking about. I know we've discussed it, but not everyone has heard. Do you mind kind of going back to where the specific grants and areas that this funding did come from, since that's a topic overall that we're looking at right now? I'd like folks to hopefully have some clarity and reassurance and transparency with that, so they don't mix pots and think that maybe we're taking from another spot. And I know also that we've discussed the need for academic replacement, basically, as far as the regular schedule. I think in the past of I don't think it's annually, but every few years or something, the requirement. So maybe just a revisit to the fact that we're trying to maintain course with that. Am I not making sense?
I'll start with the first part of your question, and is how this is funded, how we fund curriculum. And we have a specific pocket in our funding called Asset Replacement Fund, and it's designed to bring materials in front of students, to schools, and to put them in hands of teachers. And then a reminder that we have rules governed by the state that tell us how often we have to adopt materials, and then what kinds of materials are approved by the state, and that we have to follow these very specific processes that I just shared with you today. And so that's the funding that we use, and then again, tightly connected with the requirements by the state. And then your second question, I think I'm gonna ask for help or
I
clarification.
think you answered it actually, both in one.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just wanted the public to be able to hear that. We've heard it, so
Got it,
I
okay.
just wanted to share. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Karina.
Thank you. Deciphered it, Olga. All right. Well, I think that's it in terms of questions for this portion. So appreciate the first read on this. I'll hand it over to, yes, Chief Operations Officer Bob Silva to provide us with the first reading for the City of Salem Tax Abatement Resolution. And this item will also return to us in March. So up to you, Bob.
Thank you, Chair Guzman Ortiz, Superintendent Castaneda, Board Directors, and Student Advisors. As the Chair said, we have the first reading of a resolution tonight to consider approving a property tax exemption for an applicant in the MULTIP program. The MULTIP program is Multiple Housing Unit Tax Incentive Program run by the City of Salem, created in 1976, so it's been operating for a while, and we have partnered on multiple tax exemption properties over the course of the program. On December 11th, the Salem City Council did approve a resolution approving Brandon Fallman's application in the program. The project consists of 2 mixed-use buildings containing a total of 7 residential rental units, as well as 2 commercial units. The property itself is located on Commercial Street, has been vacant for many years, and has been listed for sale since 2014. So in order for a project to be exempt from property taxes of all taxing districts, the governing bodies of the taxing districts representing 51% or more of the combined rate of taxation levied on the property must agree by resolution to the exemption. The City of Salem and the Salem-Keizer School District collectively represent approximately 52% of the total property tax levy. So the city estimates that the total tax abatement would be approximately $3,362 in the first year of assessment. And the project is located within the riverfront downtown urban renewal area, so there will be no change to the district's tax revenue. Because it's in the urban renewal area, any taxes collected go to the urban renewal agency. So with that, again, this is a first reading, so I'll come back to you at the next public board meeting for your consideration.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have questions, discussion? Director Chanagiri?
So thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Silva. What I'm hearing is that this is in the urban renewal area, so even if they had collected tax, we won't get it. So number one, so it's kind of budget neutral for us. So
That is correct.
the second part is, then why are we discussing voting on this when if the tax don't come to us?
Because we want to show support for the City of Salem in the renewing and revitalization of downtown areas, to invite investors and developers to come into the city and create additional residential units.
Yeah, I mean, I will be supporting this, but the reason I'm asking this question is we have plenty of property in the city of Salem which are tax exempt, like all the state buildings, etc., are tax exempt, right? So in a way, we'll have to kind of keep an eye on whenever such resolutions come up to make sure that it doesn't affect the budget. It doesn't affect our revenue part, even though it may be a small percentage. And yet, on the other hand, I want to support low-income housing. So my hope is, at some stage, the builder can share with us how long they plan to keep it as a low-income, or is it for 10 years, or they're going to keep it forever as low-income, or could that get translated into something else, so that we know what we are voting on as a way to support it, so that we know that they will continue to maintain it as low-income unit for posterity, or is it for a defined period of time?
Thank you. I want to note that I think council had comments on the first portion of your question earlier, so if go ahead.
Yeah, so the question was, why does this exemption have to be considered? And that's because of the statute. The statute requires us to consider the exemption because of the amount of levy that the district and the city have combined. So that's the why.
The second part of the question is how long they will keep it as a low income, or can they, after a period of time, can they convert it into a for-profit, or make more? They can increase the cost and not have to live with the obligation of keeping it as a low income unit.
I think I can clarify some of these, although I admit tax abatement on urban renewal centers is out of my technical depth. But we did have a very helpful prep meeting with the city, and there are a few things I can clarify. First, this is actually a very small development project, and I think that the right way to describe the income range is that because they are such small units, they are accessible to a wide range of incomes. Larger development projects do have different standards and different expectations around the proportion of the units that are reserved expressly for low-income housing. This project is different that way. It doesn't have the same requirements because it's so small in scope. The abatement itself is good for 10 years, but if this were a larger project, if this were one at the scope that this board has contemplated in the past, it's governed by a city statute that designates the expectation around the proportion of low-income housing within the project and the duration of that expectation. We'd have to look at the number of years for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
go on.
Director Hudson, go ahead.
Thank you. So, so say it's 10 years, maybe review, it's abatement. I was curious though, when you said 7 residential, 2 commercial units, multip, so the definition, my comprehension is low-income housing. So is it, and maybe I should not use meeting time for this because this probably reflects back to you. I was curious about the law. Obviously, it wouldn't be presented to us if it weren't checked first, but where it stands as of today, I was thinking that maybe it had to be all low-income housing for this to be considered. No.
No, the multi program, there are other programs for affordable housing or low-income housing, but this program is specifically for revitalization of urban centers and providing multiple unit housing so that combined with both residential and commercial spaces so that you can live and work in the downtown area.
Okay, so then thinking, oh yay, we're going to pass it. But I am curious about a possible clause between now and say 10 years, if what kind of accountability there is for the developer to not sell it and not kind of go backwards on the use of specified, like low-income housing. So are there any details? Am I making sense? I can definitely add a lot of words. I just don't want to.
I think some of those really detailed questions about the application of the statute might be, we can provide you some more information of that.
Okay, since luckily we're coming back to this next time. Thank you.
And we have asked the city staff responsible for administering this program to provide us a follow-up report on the status of the projects that you guys have approved over the last few years and information about, I think, the accountability that you're talking about.
Great.
They've offered to do that at your earliest convenience.
Thank you. I know this has generated quite a bit of discussion the last time we were in this process. Director trying to agree the question of, well, if it doesn't, if it's cost neutral for us, then why does it come before us? And at the same time, I think recognizing that we have a sense of responsibility also with the essentially power of this approval, right, to provide our input and on the ultimate outcome of this. So just, of course, want to support housing and thinking about what is affordable housing look like in our community where our students and educators live. So more to come. We'll see this again, and I think if you have questions, we can direct us to Superintendent and Bob for more clarification. We are, I think, good on time. So we have the information and standard reports. Anything that we need to highlight for that?
No, we do not have anything tonight.
That's on the for your review in your packet if you need it, and that actually moves us right into our board reports, which we have some time for. So I would just encourage us to keep these comments brief, and I kind of want to start with our student advisors, but I don't want to put you on the spot. So if that's okay with you, yeah, and then we'll kind of move this way.
Some exciting things that are happening within North that we are part of. North just fundraised and was part of the school district or the Salem-Keizer district Puller Plunge, which was super exciting. We had like one of the biggest groups and we raised a lot of money, and I think it's just really exciting to be part of that and just to see like everyone come together, and I just really liked it. And then we also had our Multicultural Week assembly today to like honor the diversity and cultures within our school. And I think North is such a beautiful school, and there's just so many cultures, and it just feels like a community. And I think it's something to be proud of that a lot of times it gets overlooked. And I think I'm just really proud to attend North, and these are just the reasons why.
Since you guys want me to keep it brief, I'm gonna.
You don't have to. I
No?
mean, go for it. Go.
Okay.
It's all yours.
Okay. Well, last week at South, I had the opportunity to talk to all of our sophomores about our IB program. For South, 10th grade is the year to plan for IB, and when I was in 10th grade, I was kind of like, why would I ever want to do IB? Like, why would I ever want to put myself, under so much pressure to do all this work? And here I am, a full IB diploma candidate, and so I kind of just want to touch base on like a little bit about what I did. I basically talked to the sophomores about the benefits of IB. So one in particular that I really like was that a lot of schools in Oregon have to give college credits for the IB courses they take, whether it's just a DP course, so 1 or 2, whatever classes, or a full diploma candidate, which is 6 IB courses, and the other core things that they need to accomplish. So one that really stood out to me, for example, was OSU, which offers credits for specific classes, and if you scored a 30 or above on all the IB exams, you can get a $3,000 scholarship, which is renewable for up to 3 years. So like literally $12,000 for free because you took advantage of the IB diploma program during high school. In addition to that, a lot of students, depending on their major, I'm pretty sure they can be placed as a sophomore if they have enough credits, which saves them about $30,000, which I think it's such a wonderful opportunity that South is able to offer such a rigorous academic program. But even though I was talking to the sophomores about, hey, like IB is right for you, a lot of them gave me blank stares or were rolling their eyes at me. But you know what? I feel like I did my best to give them, the tools that they need to be able to make decisions for themselves and what they want to do within their last 2 years of high school. Some things that I talked to them about for the benefits of IB was just having this global mindset. You really, I feel like for most of the classes, you kind of just think about what goes on in the US, which I'm not against, I'm not saying that, but I feel like having a global perspective allows us to really think about why the world is the way it is, like now in age. In addition to that, we also have, for the core, we also need to do complete creativity, activity, and service, which gives us the opportunity to be well-rounded students. So like, for example, me being a student advisor here has given me the opportunity to hear different perspectives around the district, which, I mean, when I think about, like, as an IB student, it's like, wow, like, I really, like, we have our perspectives here in the district, but what about other districts around Oregon? Like, what do they think? How do they respond to certain dilemmas or actions or policies? On top of that, we also have you also have to complete an extended essay of 4,000 words, which, I mean, it might sound like a lot for some of us, I'm gonna be real, but I feel like it's a wonderful opportunity to increase your research skills and argumentative writing. And one thing that I did notice though was, I mean, for my class at least, there's a lack of Latinx voices in full IB. So for my class of 18 seniors who are full diploma candidates, only 11% of us are Latinx, myself included. However, because we are introducing the career-related program, which only requires you to take 2 IB courses and 1 like career-related class, I feel like that might increase the participation rates in IB courses for Latino students and students of color. And because I never had the opportunity to take that, I hope that a lot of students get understand the importance of being well-rounded and globally and having a global mindset.
Thank you both, and Patrick for like IB ambassador. No, thank you, and I'm sure that you inspired and motivated some of those sophomores, regardless of they have to look cool, right?
Right.
Thank you, Director Richardson, and then we can cue Director Carson Cunningham if she's still with us, just to follow.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say happy Black History Month. February is Black History Month. I want everybody to know that Black history is American history, and Black history is everyone's history. I am Black history. I also want to just give huge thanks to Geraldine Hammond, the first African-American elementary principal here in Salem-Keizer, has a school named after her. I also want to bring remembrance to the late Willie Richardson, the first African-American school board member here in Salem-Keizer, the one who recruited me And on her deathbed, when I told her that I thought I was going to run for school board, she says, "You have my vote." So she was an excellent mentor to me and to others here in Salem-Keizer. I can't tell you how moved I am to see the graduation rates this evening. In 2017, I was asked to become the director of the Office of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement. And we first went to data to determine where we would start. The African American student group had the lowest graduation rate and the highest dropout rate at that time. I hired Darnell Hall. He was a graduate of McKay High School. He knew the students in the neighborhood. He knew the parents and the families, and he knew how to get out and get those kids to get to school. He shared his story with them about what it takes to be successful, and you have to do this to overcome poverty and to help your family succeed. Did an awesome job. Pushed him out of the nest. He is now a teacher at McKay High School. Hired Dwight Roberson, who is a counselor now at South Salem High School. He came in, did the exact same thing. These are people who have similar lived experiences, who've had to overcome challenges and obstacles, knew how to talk to the families and the students and get the students to care about coming to school and doing a much better job. So we started with the African-American population, and to see the graduation rates of the African-American population today, I know our forefathers are just thrilled because African-Americans were not allowed to learn to read and to attend school. And in Salem, in Oregon, we had the sundown laws where you couldn't even be seen in the streets after dark without being beaten. So to have this type of accomplishment, to have a district that truly cares and allowed us to do this type of work, it's just, I can't say enough about it. And to have the proclamation tonight, knowing that we're all working together to improve our students, it's just so humbling. And I'm thankful that the Office of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement is still working. We were able to hire Hispanics. We were able to hire Pacific Islanders. Kenny Ramirez, can't thank you enough for all the work you did to help us turn around the Pacific Islander graduation requirements. I could name all of them, everybody in that department. When they were interviewed, I knew, I heard it in their hearts and their minds and their bodies and their souls that they wanted to help kids and families and turn things around, and you all have done it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. Taking it in. Appreciation.
I don't cry tonight.
No, thank you. Director Carson Cunningham?
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Monday, February the 19th, from 11 to 2, there will be a Black History program at McKay High School. McKay High School is working with us. It's being sponsored by the Be Black Foundation. Greg Peterson is the director. The NAACP, R.J. Hampton, Equity Splash, Oni Marchbanks, and AFRHEEC. They are also coming in with us. Please come. We will have great food, great singing, great entertainment, student speakers. Just come by, 11 to 2. Get some ribs, potato salad, baked beans.
You've sold us all. Thank you. Director Carson Cunningham, I want to give you an opportunity if you're still with us.
Thank you. A few quick things. I'll try to go fast. I was able to attend the middle school all-city concert. It was amazing. I just continue to be blown away by our music programs. It's an honor to attend these types of events and to see music education flourishing in our communities. It's near and dear to my heart and many other people's hearts. As I've shared before, I was a music major, so it warms my heart to see all these kiddos just working so hard. They come together work only like 3 days together with special, conductors that come in from other places, and they perform at a level that is just mind-boggling. So that was cool. Then I also got to go to the ribbon cutting for the SeaTech aviation program at the Salem Airport grounds. Awesome to see the community come together to support the growth of SeaTech through this program out at the airport. Just amazing to see all these kids that are going to be our next pilots and airline mechanics and air traffic controllers and aerospace engineers getting their start right here at the Salem Airport. I want to thank our school counselors. Last week was National School Counseling Week, and I can't thank them enough for all that they do for kids in our district every day. And then just to build on what Director Richardson was saying, I hope everyone will read the proclamation that we just passed for Black History Month. So please take some time this month to listen and learn and seek opportunities to enjoy African American art, which is the theme this year for the celebration of Black History Month. And then the Oregon Black Pioneers, OregonBlackPioneers.org has a really great list of incredible events that you can go to, and definitely go to the event that Director Richardson just mentioned at McKay.
Thank you so much, Second Vice Chair. I'll go ahead and Director Chandragiri. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to acknowledge two persons as part of the Black History Month celebration. Our own director, Cynthia Richardson. Mm-hmm. You forgot to mention your own name. It's not fair.
African American High School.
We have to acknowledge our teacher and Director Richardson. She was the first principal of African American origin in Salem-Keizer High School. And she is now in a very coveted position of Oregon Education Board, right? State board member, State Board of Education appointed by governor. And she's sitting in a very important position and leading us and leading the future, imagining the future of funding for schools and such very important tasks, because that really needs attention. That's number one. And as the chair of the Equity Splash, I'm so happy to kind of work on that project. Our board supported Be Black and other organizations to honor Martin Luther King Day. Because of the snow, we couldn't have it. And we combined it with this month. And the second important person is a visionary leader in our own community who was our budget committee member, Oni Marchbanks. Amazing force. So this reminds me of my experience of having visited the Smithsonian African American History and Culture Museum in Washington, D.C. before I started this second term. We talk about Afrofuturism, and this is what it is. It's going to take education is the only way to achieve social justice and real transformation. That's what I learned in that museum as well. So with that, I'm happy that we are sitting in this table with Director Richardson and, an amazing leader. And she's there to guide us and guide all of us. So thank you very much. And that is my little sharing.
Yes, you guys are all passionate tonight. I love it. And I think I'm so thankful that you spoke and that you shared so much of your data drops. I feel like you've started a dissertation there. Maybe you can think about continuing that later. Anyway, I think, again, like we said earlier, I know that you reached more students than you feel, and you sparked them with the passion that you don't get to see, but that's part of doing stuff like that and staying confident. But I'm guessing that a lot of teachers and staff in our district will probably utilize that clip to share with them so they don't have to research as much. So thanks for that too. And North, it's Aldous High School. It's never forgotten. That's where my diploma's from, and I know Cynthia worked there as well. So anyway, thank you all for speaking. I really like it. Thank you, Cynthia. And also, this morning I did get to jump into a ribbon cutting for Valor Mentoring, locally right around the corner from McNary High School. They were able to purchase and secure the local Grange that had been sitting vacant and the rec. And so I look forward to seeing what kind of assistance to the community they can pump out. And also, I think that there's growing organization of veterans that are waiting to volunteer in our community as well. And so things are getting organized and it's wonderful. So thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you all. I'm glad we had time for some additional comments, and I'm just going to be super brief. Well, second, a lot of it was shared tonight. I did have the opportunity to make it out to the CTEC ribbon cutting that Dr. Carson Cunningham mentioned as well. And one, to hear about, we had, first name, Rhonda, I remember last name, Rhonda Rhodes, this evening with us. And just to have, visionaries and passionate leaders in our district is amazing. And to be out there and get a tour from the high school students who you just wouldn't even believe are high school students at times is beautiful, inspiring, motivating, and a reminder of why this, why I sit here in front with all of you when sometimes it's, heavy, information and news that we're listening to. So I think I just want to close with, I'm really looking toward the future, keeping that motivation and inspiration going while continuing to navigate, of course, the present moment that we have, but inspired by our young people, inspired by our passionate educators and leaders, and of course by our student advisors who sit here with us also and just ground us in the truth of the high school experience and remind us all why this work is really important. So with that, I'll go ahead and adjourn us. It is 8:55 and we'll see you all next time. Thank you.